Hello everyone and welcome to Blank First Page. My name is Lucas. Today I've got the latest quarterly edition by Field Notes, which is this index edition that you can see right in front of you. This is the summer 2024 edition. We got two sets of 2 notebooks, which is something they don't do too frequently. One bonus item we get this quarter is they've also released a memo book slipcase, which comes in this kind of flat pack format, also in a set of 2. Here's one that I assembled. And it's kind of also following this archival nature with the gray, same as the notebooks themselves, reminding me a bit of those steel filing cabinets from offices in the 90s. A very utilitarian look, which is obviously what Field Notes is all about. I wonder if this is a product we'll see more from Field Notes. It would be cool if we could get like a bit of a wider version, maybe to hold 6 or even 10 Field Notes. I don't know what the cardboard would permit, but that would be a great way of kind of pulling together maybe 6 or 10 Field Notes at a time, which is kind of half a year to a year, I think, for most people's Field Notes use. And now let's get into the notebooks themselves. So, like I said, very utilitarian gray, but they're counteracting that with a nice pop of color from these, the red, the green, and the blue. The green and the blue are one pack, and the red ones are a separate one. Starting off with the red logoed Field Notes. These are the logbooks. These are a type of format on the insides that we haven't seen before from Field Notes. The idea behind this came from, I guess, kind of a voice of customer, seeing what Field Notes users are using their Field Notes for, and creating Field Notes that will cater to that. So the idea here in this index book is that you have a page to record specific things. For me, something I keep a lot is concert tickets. This could become for me one of those long-term notebooks where I keep things like that. I'll show you how I use some of my standard Field Notes in this way. So for receipts, for example, here's one. I just stick them in the back of the Field Notes usually. Here's one for some dry cleaning for a suit I bought. Business card from a Red Wing store in London where I tried on some shoes. And usually, like you see, these kind of just hang around in the Field Notes notebooks. Some restaurant business cards and so on. Now, there's a good way of keeping log of those for the long term, kind of in an organized way. All of these notebooks, by the way, also come with a back pocket, which is great for example, for here. I can neatly tuck that in. One of the things I've been asked about in the comments to my videos is whether I index my notebooks to find things later on. I don't, because I like to have an excuse to go searching and rummaging through my notebooks later on. But if you are more organizationally inclined and you want to keep track of those things, this index edition, as you might expect from the name, does give you that capability. It's a very useful set of editions in the interesting format. Then we have the other pack, which comes as a pack of 2 separate items. And the one I'm most excited about is the ledger book. I'll come to that in a minute. We've also got a 56-week date book, which is not something we've had too often before. Earlier in the year, you might remember I made a video about setting up one of these standard Field Notes as a year-long date book. This one is obviously much more detailed than that, so if this could be a really good appointment book. And here we come to the ledger book. It is probably my favorite layout after dot grid. I am not an accountant, although you can go and look at my video I released about how I keep track of my finances in my Field Notes. There's something about the ledger layout that is appealing. There's an old school nature to it. There's something ultra practical, but I like that there's this very specific function for this layout. I went through the Field Notes website and my own collection to see which other Field Notes have the ledger interior, and there's only 4 that I could find, including this latest edition. There's the Traveling Salesman, which came out just before I got into field notes and is a beautiful edition that I'm very upset I don't have a version of. There's the Ambition edition, which is this one here. This one you might know from my previous videos where I've spoken about my long-term reference field notes. In this particular one, I keep my list of books to read, which is ever growing. And then the last ones before the index edition were these utility editions. I'm not using it in any way that I would need a ledger for, but it does somehow make lists look nice and neat. Now just getting to the most important consideration with any field note: how is it going to age? Here I have a 60-pound cover, which is the same as we had in this utility edition. So you can see it does take a good beating. It is sturdier than, say, the standard craft field notes, which I have to say is my favorite because it just wears the most. But for this kind of notebook, which is likely going to be used for the long term, so you want something that is going to hold up over time. It is not quite as thick as this, which is, in my view, as you know, is not a bad thing. But it's the same as here. And in these utility, you can see the corners all roll over and wear in. You even get some of that kind of fluff on the ends. The paper will release some of those fibers kind of off the surface, especially when you help it along like I do by using the notebook as a coaster. So I'm looking forward to using each of these field notes. It's going to be an interesting field notes use experience for me because they all kind of have a specific use. Usually I have the blank canvas of just a dot grid page and I use it any which way. But these are nice because they are a nice collection of notebooks, more similar to how I use this kind of a long-term reference notebook. Thank you as always for watching. I hope you found this useful, and I will see you off by letting you watch me IKEA assemble this memo book slipcase.